guys, it's Dom here. Just had a wonderful chat with Jon Gomm, of course, legendary guitarist. He obviously talked about his involvement in the Swan Song Project, which is a beautiful charity, which we go into a little bit more detail about in the video. Obviously, talking about Jon's attitude to success. He's had quite the career, so hopefully you guys enjoy this. It was a lot of fun. There's some good stuff in here. So thank you for watching, thank you for your support, and we'll see you soon. Cheers. Right, yeah. Jon, mate, again, thank you so much for making the time. Thank you so much for spending the time with me today. How are you feeling? How are you doing? You've had a busy week.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, so I had a journey from hell yesterday, but I won't dwell on that. But,
yeah,
it was chaos, and then yeah. So, but I'm okay now, and it was really good to do a gig because it's the so just because of the pandemic, things have changed. So I was very lucky. I got to do a tour in. I had a whole album launch tour booked for the end of 2020.
Yeah,
it was British Isles, so it's like you know, UK and a gig in Ireland as well. But I managed to do the England, Scotland, Wales gigs at the end of last year, and then this weekend I just did the gig in Northern Ireland, and then weekend after next I've got the one in Dublin. So it was my first gig overseas, even though it's only a little sea. It's the first gig overseas since the pandemic ended.
Yeah.
So that was good. It felt very, very weird. I felt like a boxer coming out of retirement or something. You know, it was very weird. It was like everything was really familiar and the same, but I hadn't done it for such a long time that I felt really like unsettled and like ill at ease just being in a different, I don't know, it's not even a different country. Like Northern Ireland's, I mean, it is and it isn't. That's a whole thing. But it's like it's a different landmass. Do you know what I mean? It's a different island. So just being in a different place, it was like just that slightly unsettling feeling of I can't just drive home now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Shit totally hits the fan in one way or another. I can't just drive home. I've got to, you know, fly or whatever. So it's just that slight lack of security.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. But I guess, you know, again, because you've toured for, and I don't want to go into that in a little bit. You've toured, you know, for a very long time, and a lot of people, you know, refer to you as a very successful musician, and certainly you are in my view. I mean, how do you define success? You know, is it being able to do those national tours? Obviously, off camera, we talked about Brazil. Talks about Brazil, stuff like that, being able to do that.
I don't define it that way. It's really, there's no way of doing that. All you can do in that sense is just make comparisons. And I really don't like that. And it's how things are always framed as well. And I have colleagues who do it. So it's like, you know, it's like the Grammys. It has a lot of cachet, but really it's just, it tends to go by whichever thing in whichever genre sold the most copies.
Yeah.
Or certainly very close to that. I don't really, like, I got asked to put myself forward, because what you have to do is people who have Grammy membership, which you pay for, can then nominate people. And a few people who had Grammy membership said, "Oh, we'll put you forward. So you just you have to fill in this. You have to do this thing. And then submit your album." And I was like, I don't want anything to do with that. I just really, really didn't want anything to do with it. I found it really just. Anyway, so but I have friends who I'll say, "How did this gig go?" And they'll say, "Oh, it was great. It was sold out." And it's like, okay, but how did the gig go? So for me, it's like I've played gigs that are to big audiences that are, you know, not have, I don't feel have gone that well. And I've played gigs to tiny audiences which I feel have gone amazingly, and vice versa as well, you know. But it's just not the criteria for me. Is how many people are there is just like, it's just a number. Do you know what I mean? It just really,
that's nice. Yeah.
You know, it's just honestly what I think. It's like it's just honestly how I feel about it. Sometimes you can be, you know, disappointed if you're expecting to have a certain number of people there. If you've got a big venue and there's, you know, not enough people in it, then it can feel a bit, I feel a bit silly for a minute. But as soon as the gig starts, it doesn't matter. you're communicating with the people who are there, you know. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, that moves nicely onto one of my questions. Part of my day job is working with young people who they struggle with their self-image, motivation. Maybe they're musicians and they want to create music, but they look at someone like yourself and they go, "Oh, you know," because the way you play is like an art form. I've always seen it like an art form. You know, it's really creative, and people might go, "Oh, I'm never going to be as skilled as Jon. I'm never going to have millions of hits and all this other stuff." And I wanted to sort of ask you, what is your advice or points to any young person that might be inspired by what you do, but kind of blinded by, I guess, the perception of Jon Gomm and all the hits and the streams and obviously the tours.
Yeah, I just don't feel like I'm very successful in that way at all. I think it's because I've got friends who are more successful than me. I think that really helped. So like when I had a viral video, the first time, it's like over 10 years ago now, and it's just over 10 years ago, and it's it was like February 2012 when it actually started to properly go viral, and our first one. And a really good friend of mine is a guitarist called Andy McKee from Kansas in America, and he had, I think 5 years previously to that, had a viral video himself, and he was doing less touring stuff before that than I'd been. So by the time I had a viral video, I was already doing like international gigs and stuff that I just basically set up myself and just made contact myself and stuff. And Andy was, as far as I'm aware, before he had that viral video, doing like a lot of coffee shops and guitar. Yeah, he'd go and like enter guitar competitions, which is a thing in America, particularly in the southern states in the Midwest, and he was doing that stuff, but he wasn't doing any gigs overseas at all or anything like that, as far as I know. And his video was more viral than mine. You know, he got like more hits than I did, and I'd seen how it happened to him, and I think that really put it in perspective for me, because I had a friend, I had like 5 million people had watched my video or whatever, but I had one of my friends, he had 50 million people who'd watched his, and it's been a bigger change for him, and so it just helped with that. But it's so just perspective is useful. But the thing that I would say in general about like people comparing themselves to me or somebody else in terms of like their skill on their instrument or their technique or the sound of the music they're making or what they perceive as being achievements or success or recognition, is just stop comparing yourself to anybody in that way. The comparison is of no value whatsoever, because you can't live anybody else's life. You can only live your own. So just stop comparing yourself. The only way you should compare yourself to somebody else is to find those differences, because those are the good bits. So when I learn to play a piece of music, what makes me is the level to which I fail. Okay. Yeah. So if I want to learn to play a piece of music by Michael Hedges, who's like my ultimate guitar god, and I can't play his stuff as well as he does, and I've tried, and I've had to find workarounds and stuff, and I've had to find other ways of doing it, and problems arose, or just at me trying to do it and failing to do it and being kind of clumsy with it, and then that becomes me. So it's the failure, it's the distance between him and me. That's where I become myself, and that's really, really amazing and really important to realize. Whereas if I didn't let that happen and I pushed and pushed and pushed and so I could play it exactly like him, I'd lose all of that good stuff, and I'd lose all of that possibility of creativity, finding my own solutions, finding my own sound. So you don't want to be like me. That's the best advice I could ever give anybody.
I like
don't want to be like me.
I like it. Well, like I say, because I know you've inspired a lot of people around the country, people that I know. So it's good to get your viewpoint. But naturally, people do, particularly in the arts and the creative industries, they go, how do I go viral? How do I play like Jon? And I've actually heard those conversations, which is why I ask you. So, thank you for giving me that viewpoint. I think one of the other things I'd like to ask as well is is there any perception about the music industry that you kind of wish, like a reality check? So again, for any younger person, is there anything you wish that people knew about the music industry that you've kind of learned and understood through your career that you wish younger people getting into it would understand or know?
Yeah, so the music industry is so the world of business in general. It shocks me how completely clueless people are, and the music industry is like that. Except also it's cool and it's quite fun. So it really attracts the lowest level of professionalism you can possibly imagine. And the higher up in the industry you go, the worse that is. Yeah, again, trying to be in the music industry. And I remember the feeling of being younger and looking at other artists or other bands and going, well, they must be doing something that, they've got a record deal that's making all that happen. They've got a management company that's making all that happen, and they've got, and it is true, you can work with other people who can do stuff and do work on your behalf and create things for you. But it's not some kind of it's not some kind of executive secret room that you're only allowed into if somebody will come up to you one day and say, right, here's your pass, you're allowed in this room now, where all the amazing things suddenly are allowed to happen. That doesn't happen at all. And a lot of the things that I've had happen to me are things that I've made happen just kind of myself by accident, or just by kind of nudging things in the right direction. So a really good example is, right, once I was on a TV show in Brazil called Joe Suarez, and it's basically like Letterman or Graham Norton. I don't know. I don't really watch telly, so I don't know. But so it's like the biggest chat show in Brazil, and it's watched. They reckon on that the average episode is watched by about 20 million people, because it's watched in Brazil, and then Brazilians around the world who are who live in other countries or whatever, they watch it too. And I got on that show, but the reason I got on that show was because I was on tour in Brazil. That would be doing like 2014 or something, and a solid 10 years earlier I played at a guitar festival in Italy, and I got that gig just through people that I knew.
Wow.
But that gig in Italy, there was a Brazilian guitarist there, and he was amazing guitar player called Marcinho Airas. And we had a good chat. We had the drink together, and we got to know each other a little bit over that couple of days. And before I went to Brazil, I emailed him or whatever. I messaged him and said, "Hey, Marcinho, I'm coming to Brazil. It's cool. Let's see if we can hang out. And if there's any media or anything that you can tell about this, then then please do." And he said, "Oh, actually, these days my day job is that I play in the house band on this chat show. So I'll try and get you on. I'll try and get you on." So he just asked the producers of that, I guess. "Oh, this guy from the UK is coming. He's really good. Nobody knows about him. He's really cool." So it's not like some kind of, do you know what I mean? It's not some secret thing. So but the thing, if there's a moral to take from that story, it's just get to know people that you have something in common with. Yeah, and it's not networking. That's a horrible term, because networking, it's like The Apprentice or something.
It sucks. Yeah.
Don't sell yourself to people or anything like that. Just work with people and get to know people and socialize with people that you, as much as you want to, and people that you think, well, they seem like we might get along and have something in common.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So it's that organic nature of it. You're just getting to know people, and I think that leads on. I think you've probably just answered this next question, but there's very.
So I talk a lot, Dom.
No, I love it, mate.
I need to warn you.
I love it, mate. I love it. As long as you've got the time, I'm more.
I'm ADHD.
I'm same.
I'll go on for hours.
I've got
my Ritalin right here.
Oh, nice. I got diagnosed over the pandemic, so it's weird, isn't it? It blows your mind a little bit. Thank you for sharing. I only get to ask this to very few people. Obviously, you're from Yorkshire, and you have built a career being from Yorkshire. And again, a lot of
Okay, I
of,
just have to. I can't. I'll get in trouble if I let that slide. I'm from Blackpool originally.
nice one, nice one.
So I'm really sorry.
No, sorry, no, it's fine.
So yeah, but I've lived in Yorkshire for a really, really long time. But let's say I'm from Yorkshire, like those people that
people,
really,
yeah, no,
really
I imagine.
I'll be really upset.
I imagine. I spent a lot of my uni days in Preston, and so I went to Blackpool.
Yeah, my condolences.
Yeah. Did you plan? Yeah, absolutely.
Preston, it's a terrible place. Oh dear. No, I'm just joking. We have our Preston banter. Hey, do you know what? Nobody's going to get this without a 20-mile radius. But on my last tour, the best bit of banter, the whole gig. You know what? Nobody's going to get this. I shouldn't even say it. But basically, I have this song called Deep Sea Fishes, and I'm introducing it. And I was describing, like, I was talking about these fish and saying, this is the gig in Preston actually. And I was talking about these fish that live in the bottom of the ocean and how they're really, really hideous. And I said they live in this one particular place, and somebody just shouted out, Coral Island. That being in Blackpool, people who know.
Yeah.
It's top pants.
I feel like it still relates anyway. It still relates because I guess if you're from Blackpool, I mean, I know some pretty successful, I know some pretty successful people from the area who've done really well, bands and touring artists. But if you're from Blackpool or Yorkshire, again, a lot of young people that come to me, they go, "Oh, do I need to move? Do I need to go to London? Do I need to move?" Where the industry is. And I'm wondering, it doesn't sound like it, but have you ever experienced a barrier because of where you've come from and because you've remained there? I know you've toured and you've played.
I don't know, because I'm oblivious to those kinds of things. So when you get those kinds of snide social interactions and barriers, because like, as a kind of neurodiverse person, you're often quite oblivious. I am. So not everybody with ADHD, but I have like Asperger's as well, and it's like I'm just completely oblivious when people try to be like, people try to put up those barriers. Obviously I'm still restricted by them the same as anybody else. It's not some kind of superpower, but all I know is that they're being weird in a way that I don't understand, or being shitty in a way that, and I might get upset and worried, but I don't actually know what's going on or why. I don't understand. Yeah. Like but anyway, yeah. So I don't really know if I have or not. But I'll tell you about kind of the moving to London thing. Yeah. I know so many people who've done that, and I just don't know anybody where it's actually worked, Yeah. I don't know anybody. Yeah. So, I mean, that's all I can really say about it, is that, I remember gigging, starting out I'd go down there a lot and play, there's a lot of acoustic gigs down there, and they still go on, where they'll have like 5, 6 performers or acts on the bill, like original acoustic artists. Yeah. And I mean, people, I think it is worth going to them, and you learn stuff going to them. And I think you can make contacts at those kind of gigs, but it's not really how, I can't really operate like that. It gets too, I don't know. That's the networking thing. You have to kind of do the proper networking. You have to sell yourself. You sell yourself, don't you? I can't do that. It's not me, that. Yeah. So. Yeah, no, fair enough, man. Yeah, fair enough. It's interesting to get those viewpoints. Well, 4 or 5 more questions now. I do want to talk about the Swan Song charity stuff. Oh, shit, I forgot why I was here. Yeah, please do. We will do that.
We will do that. That's coming up. But I also want to ask you, again, if you look at the person you were at the beginning of your career and the person you are now, how would you say what have you learned about yourself? What key things have you learned about yourself as a person and as, I guess, as an artist as well?
And I'll talk to him. Here he is. Look, I'll pretend this is him. I'm going to do role play.
All right, cool. Do it. Let's go.
This is John 10 years. This is actually my monkey fuck face.
Okay, amazing.
But okay,
he looks cool.
Fuck face. Cool.
All right, go.
So you're role playing me like 15 years ago or something. What would I tell you? I don't know. I'd probably tell you that man, it's really tricky. Like, I would probably tell him that stuff that I'll probably tell him what I've just told you, which is that stuff that you think is happening that other people are doing that you don't understand and don't know about. And that's like, maybe you even feel that's not fair.
Mm.
It's not even real, or none of that stuff is actually real. Like, it's not happening. And when
Yeah.
you actually kind of meet those people who are doing that, their lives are no different. The way they look at the world is
Yeah.
not really any different to you.
Yeah.
There's certainly assholes out there, though. There's
Yeah.
it's funny because when you meet kind of when I meet kind of people who are rock stars and they act like rock stars as if they were born to be a star, and they feel, to be honest, like they're better than other people.
Right. Yeah.
But I've met people who are like that, who are famous, and people who are like that who are not famous, and they've been exactly the same. The people who are famous, being famous didn't make them like that. They were always like that.
Right.
So, and you do find that, and gigging locally and like doing local gigs in local areas, you do find that. So just try to keep your ego out of your kind of musical life. That's my advice.
I love it, man. I love it. And thank you for the special guest appearance from Bookface there. It's great.
Okay.
Love that. Thank you very much for your time.
It's going now.
Cool. So we'll talk about the Swan Song charity stuff now as well. Like how did that come about? Obviously, I've seen that you've done some promo videos where you've been performing as well. Like tell me about that and what that means to you.
Yeah. So the Swan Song Project charity approached me to be their ambassador like earlier this year, and I mean, it was really, I was completely confused as to, I thought they were making a terrible mistake, and that's probably what I told them initially. But yeah, what they do is really, really amazing. I learned about it a couple of years ago. So it's a lad called Ben. Everyone calls him Buddy, actually. It's called Ben Slack, but everyone calls him Buddy. And he's a musician himself. And he just had this idea that it would be a great thing to do for people to be able to have a song that they leave behind if when they die. And so it's something that when he told me about it, it just seems like the most obvious idea that everybody should kind of get a chance to do it. And I think most of us, you reach a certain age and we've all lost someone. I've lost more people than I would like. And one of them was a songwriter, and he didn't write a song like to say goodbye or anything like that, or to try and sum that up, but being a songwriter, he left behind songs that I could then listen to and also learn to play and stuff. And also, just often when events happen like that, if you listen to music, you'll be listening to music after you lose somebody, and a song will hit you in a way that it's never hit you before, and just that'll be the thing you associate with that person. Or it could be the music they play at their funeral. And I remember I never really got Sigur Rós, right? I never really liked it that much. And then a young lad I know, Pete Bamford, he died young, sadly. And I went to his funeral, and he had they blasted out some Sigur Rós at his funeral, and I was absolutely in just weeping buckets, you know what I mean? And suddenly now that music for me took on this incredible meaning. I suddenly got that music, and also now I listen to it, and every time I listen to it, I think of Pete, and it's an amazing thing. But not everybody can just write a song, so what the Swan Song charity does is it helps people to do that. So somebody who isn't necessarily particularly musical, they can help them with the lyrics. They can then put that to music and have the person help them come up with the music and make sure that it's something where it fits in with that person's musical taste and how they want it to sound. So somebody can explain to you how you want it to sound, and the songwriter from the Swan Song Project will create that for you, and then they'll go into a studio and record it, and the person who's writing the song, they could sing on it themselves, or if they don't feel like they can sing or don't want to do that, then the charity will get somebody else to sing it. Often they'll try and include their voice in another way, like maybe they can speak on the track at some point. But for somebody who knows they're dying, for somebody who's terminally ill and they know they're dying, to be able to do that is incredible, because you might have a lot of things that you want to say to other people or say about yourself, and this is what I've learned, or this is just my little statement to the world. And it's to do that, just to write it down, let alone say it to somebody's face, it's unbelievably difficult.
It's a beautiful thing.
To put it into a song, you can do it. That's why we write songs, right? So we can say things that we can't say otherwise because we're too scared, or it's too hard, or it's too complicated, or whatever. So so I just think it's the most amazing idea. So to be ambassador for it and help kind of communicate that idea to people is brilliant, because then kind of the idea is that it sounds really grim, but it's not really. But if people have listened to this, or anybody's listened to it, and then they hear about somebody that they know who gets diagnosed with a terminal illness, or even, God forbid, it happened to them themselves, somebody who's watching this right now, then maybe at some point during that process, they might remember hearing about this Swan Song charity, and they might think, I want to do that. And this could make a really huge difference. And, I don't know. I just think it's a really amazing idea. And it's music too. And it's just, anything that adds meaning to what we do as musicians is amazing.
It's incredible, man. It's lovely to hear about it as well from your your words. It's fantastic, and it's certainly something that I'm sure a lot of people will support. Do you, in the spirit of that, do you pay much attention? Do you ever think about legacy? Does legacy concern you? How you like to be remembered? Things. I'm not wishing harm upon you or anything like that, of course.
No, I don't. I could get hit by a bus tomorrow. But hey, shit! I just got given a lifetime achievement award by a guitar festival.
Nice.
It's incredibly moving. It didn't even occur to me at the time, because again, my mind doesn't work like this. But people keep saying, wow, you must be really old if that's you getting a lifetime achievement award. Are you near death or something? But it's like, it didn't occur to me that it meant that it was your whole lifetime. I thought it just meant it's your lifetime so far. I don't know. But anyway, so legacy for me, it's funny. If you'd asked me a couple of years ago, I would have said, yeah, it's really important. I want to leave like a body of work, that people will be able to go down in fucking history books or something. But now, honestly, I just don't. I think that's absolutely ridiculous. And I don't care. And it's just insecurity that you see it a lot with, like, I remember Donald Trump clearly wanted to get his face onto that weird, I can't even remember what it's called, Mount Rushmore in America, where they have the president's face is carved like these massive effigies in rock, which is fucking bizarre, America. That's really weird. It's supposed to be a democracy. You're literally not supposed to idolize these people. They're supposed to be just, they're elected to be put in a position where they're just kind of, we're all equals, but we've happened to choose them to be in charge. But somebody like, when you ask yourself, why does somebody like Donald Trump want to do that? Why does somebody like him, why do he like building great big buildings? And it's like it's just territorial pissings, as Kurt Cobain called it. It's territorial pissings that'll just last forever. He just wants to just never die and leave. Like, he just wants to be important even after death. It's some kind of attempt at immortality. So no, frankly, I just don't care about legacy in that way. My legacy is like my daughter, and that's my legacy.
That's lovely. So. That's lovely, man. That's fantastic. Before we finish up, what would be your message? Because again, you know, a lot of people have supported you over the years. People have streamed your music. People have got behind you, and hopefully will continue to with the Swan Song Project. What is your message to those people that have supported you from the beginning of your career, and those that, you know, will continue to do so? Maybe people that have yet to discover you.
Yeah. Well, anytime somebody tells me that they listen to my music, all I feel is guilty and sorry that I've put them through it. I can't help that, but it's an incredible kind of feeling of gratitude, because when people, I don't know, being a musician feels somehow, it can often feel really, really selfish and self-indulgent as a thing to do with your life. And when somebody says to you, I like your music, or it matters to me, or it makes me feel something, or whatever, anything, it doesn't matter. It's just somebody says, oh, I liked that, I enjoyed it. Even just as simple as that. It doesn't have to be the most deep and meaningful experience. I just feel like, thanks, that's great, because otherwise I might as well just quit. And so yeah, I'm really, really grateful. And the more of those people there are, the better, because it means that I can continue not to have a proper job. But but it's but I'm just incredibly grateful. And when people spread, likes a video or a song, and then they tell somebody else, that's when they're doing me the biggest favor you can possibly imagine. And so just tell one other person makes the hugest difference to my career. But this time, don't do that. If you're watching this video, don't do that. Tell somebody about the Swan Song Project instead. So yeah, tell them about that instead, because that can be my mission from now on, is getting people to spread that in the same way they've kind of spread the word about my music.
I love it, man. I love it. And before we finish up, any plugging, any promo, any press, anything aside from the Swan Song Project that you want to promote? Anything else you've got going on that you want to tell people about?
Well, I'm going to be back out on tour. Not a massive one, but I just needed to go again. I enjoyed the last one so much. So this autumn, I'm going to be back out in the UK. It's going to be kind of October into November. We haven't booked it all. Yeah, but I'll be doing kind of major cities.
Amazing.
So, but I don't have the dates to plug yet, except one in Leeds, but I've forgotten what the date is. That's just that one's the only one that one's the other one that's confirmed already. But just keep an eye on my website. Just go to my website and join my mailing list. That's the biggest thing that I can plug. But you know, I do have an album out which is called The Faintest Idea, which I'm really proud of, and you know, songs about death, birth, life, the universe, and fish.
Of course. What more could you want, Jon? And thank you again so much for making the time for me, man. I've been wanting to do this for a long time, so I appreciate.
Oh, that's really nice, Don. Thanks very much. Thanks so much for giving a shit, and thanks for you know,
of course,
making media so it keeps people interested in music, so they can you know, see behind the chords. See behind the chords. I don't know what I'm saying.
Man, it's great. Thank you. Yeah, again, thank you so much, man.